Hey, welcome in everyone to Dom Time. Supreme Court debates on two cases, DOMA, Defense of Marriage Act, and Proposition 8, just consumed Americans last week. But also, New Jersey and Pennsylvania are in the forefront of a lot of these issues around same-sex marriage. Joining me to talk about them are Greg Quinlan and Troy Stevenson. Troy, gay conversion therapy, reparative therapy, whatever we call it. Governor Christie has said early on in New Jersey, where there's a bill that seems like the legislature will pass it, banning it, that what about freedom of choice? Why should you ban something like this when people have the ability, particularly adults, as I understand it, to make a choice about whether or not they want to go through some therapy because they dispute or they're not comfortable with being gay?
That's fine. This bill is not about adults. This bill is about the protection of children. The protection of children from abuse, and that's what this is. The American Psychiatric Association has said that kids are 8 times more likely to commit suicide that have been through this. They're 6 times more likely to suffer from severe depression, 3 times more likely to contract diseases because of the self-hatred that it causes. This what they're calling therapy is trying to take an immutable characteristic within them and turn them into somebody that somebody else wants them to be.
You think even at the age of 12, 13, 14, I think I've read some doing that, a person knows that and it's immutable?
Absolutely.
It's not immutable.
There's not one. There's not one reputable person in the field that will tell you
that's a lot of rhetoric. There is a lot of reputable people in the field that say exactly the opposite. And you're making these lists of these organizations as if they represent everyone who's in the profession, which they don't. They actually represent a tiny part of the profession.
Greg, what about the abusive part of this, though?
Yeah, what about the abusive part? We heard a lot of anecdotal stories in committee the other day, including one that was so horrendous, we found out it was an outright lie. A man who identifies as a woman, Brielle Goladani, talking about conversion camps. The camp never existed. It was taken word for word right out of a movie. This is absolutely true. This guy lied through his teeth.
You actually harassed this woman.
I've never harassed this woman. Never had a
restraining order. That is not true.
A restraining order against whom?
Against the people harassing her. Calling her at work 6 times a day. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the press is calling her to ask her to prove it. That's what they're asking.
The press is saying they're being abused.
Greg and Troy, excuse me 1 second, guys. So who are you alleging is abusing this woman? Who's harassing?
There are people from his organization and others that are actually harassing. They've called her 6 times at her work. They're harassing a reporter from ABC. It's ridiculous. It's unprofessional behavior.
And ABC works for
us. Okay, let me take you back to this now. Governor Christie has said the position that I had on this, which is, again, aside from the abusive part, we all agree on that. Let's stipulate it may be true, it may not be, but the abusive part of it with kids is already covered by the law.
Right.
Why should parents not have this modality just because a few organizations say that this is out of bounds?
It's not in a few organizations. It's every reputable person in the therapeutic.
What would you analogize it to then, gay conversion therapy? Aside from some of the things that we've heard that are physically abusive, what would you, is there an analogy?
There's no analogy that works. It's abuse, but imagine taking a left-handed person and beating them until they use their right hand. That's the type of abuse we're talking about. It's something that's been discredited time and time again, and nobody thinks it, not even our governor thinks it's the good idea.
Okay, let's go to a caller here. We have a caller here on Dom Time on gay conversion therapy. Caller, welcome in.
Hi, am I on the air?
Yes, you are.
Right, I have a question for Troy. My name is Christopher Doyle. I'm actually the person that broke that story about Brielle Goladani lying. And I want to know, Troy, if you're for equality and tolerance, why are you trying to take away the rights of former homosexuals and persons who have unwanted SSA? And number 2, why, and can you point me to one single specific scientific study that actually shows that reparative therapy or therapy for people who don't want to be gay is actually harmful? Please list one study that shows outcomes of young people.
All right, hold up. We got your question for Troy. You got your question in.
First off, once again, this bill is about children. Okay. This person on the phone, testified before the assembly, talked about being 23. He was an adult. When he went through this, he has a choice to do what he wants. That's not what this is about. It's about the protection of children. The American Psychological Association has done a study. They said there is nothing to prove that this is useful and everything to prove that it's abusive.
What about the choice issue, though? Aren't there a lot of things that, that's what I'm trying to get I think it's silly, too. I'm in the camp that thinks it doesn't work, but I'm a choice guy, as I think Christie is, and that's what he said on this.
He also said that this was not. He does not agree with this. He does not believe
say that. that.
he
A
did.
spokesperson said that.
No,
for
spokesperson,
him.
that's true, Troy. Christie seems to be on the ledge on this one because both things are at war.
That our governor is a very careful man, and he wouldn't have sent a spokesperson out to say that unless he believed it.
Okay, thanks to the caller. Coming up, more on gay conversion therapy in New Jersey, the Supreme Court decision, and what happens with gay marriage in Pennsylvania. You get in right now at 866-472-8868. You're next with Dom Time.